Hello there. Yeah, you don't see me yet, but you will soon because I'm still working on it. Yeah, if this is your first live stream, which is quite possible because the other ones have mostly been in what's it called? German, right? Yeah, and if you don't speak German or don't understand German, then you might have had no interest in the German ones. So this all makes sense, and I might need to explain some things to you. So first off, welcome. I'm very glad you're joining my live stream and having some patience with all the unprofessional, confused meandering that is going to happen now in the beginning while I'm trying to set up my gear and everything. Um, and also during the show when I'm trying to think in a straightforward fashion and explain it to you, which I, well, might not be especially good at. Let's see how it goes. Um, I'm or now it's going on now, so I can't very well say I'm looking forward to it. So I should probably say I have been looking. It's kind of like English lessons in school. I love it. Um, I have been looking forward to this live stream, and also I'm being notified that sound is not good, which is a pity because I'm using the exact same setup I'm using otherwise. At least I would have thought that, but I'm going to check. I'm sorry about the sound quality. I'm going to check now why that is. I might be able to find out, and then I might not. I warned you about the unprofessional part. This is it. I hope you like it. Just give me a second. Sound settings. There you are. And this looks good, and this looks good. Well, that's a pity because I can't do anything about it, I think. I can maybe change the what's it called? The volume. Uh, the volume. I might be able to change that a bit. Maybe like no idea, like this. Is that helpful? Is it better now? I don't know. But while we're at it, let's talk about what this is. This is an interactive. You'll be able to see me soon again. I just need so well. I'm done. All right. Hello. This is an interactive live writing stream or writing live stream, I guess. So you're watching me live on YouTube while I'm writing something, which will appear there. I'm not sure why that is so small. I might have to change something about that too. Yeah. Well, I will. Maybe. Yeah. There it is. Better. Not perfect, but better. We're going. We're getting there. We're getting there. This is a learning experience for all of us. We're in this together, with the slight difference that you can get out whenever you want, while I am here to finish this. We'll see. Yeah, English writing live stream, which means I will be writing, and you can write with me. This is an interactive writing experience. Ha! Isn't that fantastic? We have a story which was picked by the three audience members that have or that have agreed to participate in advance, and we have talked a bit about what we're going to do, and we decided majority-wise to work on my short story, The First Magi. There's a link in the Discord, to which again you can find a link under this YouTube video if you want to get in there. If you just want to watch on YouTube, that's fine. You can do that. I will be reading the comments in Discord to you, so you won't miss a lot. Except for the interactive part, because you can't interact on YouTube. The comments are switched off there. That's because I have had some annoying problem with trolls invading the chat, and that's not a problem in Discord. I didn't even have to moderate a lot because they don't even try. I have no idea why, but they feel more at home at YouTube apparently, and we don't want that. So we're on Discord. And the story we're writing on is originally a short story. It's called The First Magi, and basically it's about a deportation gone wrong, in the sense of that our main character, Munira, um, was supposed to be deported back to her, uh, well, uh, at least what Germany considers her home country. And this deportation was interrupted by someone who calls themselves a member of the First Magi, an organization we don't know a lot about, but which apparently, as the name suggests, has access to some sort of magical, supernatural power because they do some definitely supernatural stuff, and then offer um, Munira to come with them with the words, "We'll need a couple of second Magi sooner or later." And Munira hesitates a moment, but then she takes their hand, implying that she will go with them. That's the part of the story you can see. It's there. If you like, you can read it using the link in the Discord. It's mostly it has some mistakes I noticed, and I haven't yet corrected that because I'm unprepared. That's part of the charming, down to earth attitude this live stream embodies, which you will find lots and lots of other lovely examples during our common experience. I hope you like it. Because if you don't, you are gonna have a bad time, I think. Yeah, and that's basically it. I am now open to any and all suggestions from the chat for how to proceed from here. There are many things we need to consider. Um, and the nice thing is also we don't need to consider them if we don't want to. Because, yeah, you might have heard about that if you're interested in writing or literature at all. There are, of course, it's not as simple and clean as the names might suggest, but there are so-called pantsers and there are so-called planners in the writing community. The planners being those who have a great network of documents explaining in very big, great, deep detail all the background of their characters and the individual scenes they are planning to do up to and including the finish of the story, the whole plot, and all the things they are going to do before they start the actual writing process. And as you may have guessed from what you have already heard me say, and maybe you have even already read, sorry, some of my stuff, then you might have noticed that too. I'm not such a writer. I'm more, yeah, the kind of writer who just starts typing, which is probably, well, it does have its disadvantages when writing stories, obvious, I think. But it also has its advantages, especially when doing an interactive writing stream, because that means I don't have a lot of problems with spontaneous new ideas and changes in direction, be they big or small. Yeah, so we can basically do everything you like. And since we have a very, very small audience of people with not a lot of experience with this kind of writing stream, I'm going to check on my audience and try to see if everybody is on board. Is it working? Und außerdem, oh, sorry, yeah, I fell back into German right there, sorry. But you didn't miss anything, I just said, and also. Ähm, Fragen wir mal so. So, if I don't, that's also something. I mentioned I have a German live stream for writing, and it's a different story, obviously, although the first Magi is translated from German, as you can't help but notice if you read it, because, yeah, well, let's be clear here. It's an automatic translation, which I checked, but apparently I didn't check very well because there are lots and lots of mistakes in there, as I noticed. I will try to correct them later on, but I haven't yet. Um, I have some experience with this kind of thing, even if not in German, but the principle of the thing is the same. And I will now proceed to do what I do in the sense of if there's no input from the chat, I just start typing and we'll see where it goes. Ah, yeah, there are two people in the chat both writing hi. That's very nice. Yeah. Hi. Um, Everything working properly? I was thinking that we might have fun meeting some of the other members of the first Magi. That's a very good idea, Epiphany. By the way, I'm not sure if you're okay with me saying your names on YouTube, but I guess I just did it. So, well, it's only the screen names anyway. So there's Epiphany and there's Millicent in the chat. Hello, both said hi, and I'm Fabian, and I also said hi. I didn't even mention that in the beginning, although I guess you can read it in the name of the channel, but that was not very professional from me. What a surprise. Epiphany says yes, but I don't know how to keep the video going while I'm writing in Discord. Oh, that's a problem. You're on your phone, right? Oh yeah. You're on your phone, right? That might be a tad difficult because YouTube, well, I probably shouldn't be typing that, but saying it. But then again, it's easier to get and not be confused if it's written, because YouTube doesn't allow minimizing the app while playback, while playing a video. Playing a video. Hmm. That's a bit difficult, actually. Hmm. Um, yeah, you might, yeah, that might be a problem because, or yeah, well, if you don't have a second device, that is difficult, I'll admit. There are probably ways to do that. I could even try to get some different sound source going, but but it's not perfect. But maybe it's better than nothing. I could try that. I could try. Right, yeah, that's also possible. Gekrimbel says in the chat that on some phones, you can put YouTube in a little hover window, then it will not stop playing, but it's awkward anyway. And that's right. That's quite an apt description of what's going on there. I have had the experience myself, and well, while I wouldn't exactly recommend it in a general fashion, it might be the best solution for what we are facing here. Because, yeah, actually, I haven't even thought of that. I think the other members in the other writing stream use different setups, maybe a laptop or something, uh, some sort of computer. Because I guess it's really difficult on a phone, right? I always forget that because I don't do this kind of thing on my phone because the screen. I don't like the little screen. But yeah, that's difficult. Hmm. How do we do that? I could, yeah, I could. I'm gonna. We'll have to solve some problems here. This is the first episode, after all, and it's live, and it's deeply, very unprofessional. You have to believe me about that. I think you actually have to. I'm not saying that in the sense of I'm imploring you, but just you have no choice because it's on display right here. Mm. We'll have to solve some technical difficulties, but that's part of the fun, I think. If it's not for you, as I mentioned, this might be a problem. Let's go ahead and offer another solution. Anyway, I could try and um, play sound via the lounge. I can even begin this speech channel. I don't even know what it's called in English. Via the can't even link it. Can I? Must be possible. That's weird. I'm just going to write speech channel so you can hear via the what's it called? Um, via Discord. Via Discord 2. Would that be helpful? Yeah, that's tricky. That's tricky. Doing it on a phone. I haven't even thought of that. But yeah, I admit it's a problem because YouTube is, yeah. Google always says don't be evil, but I think that's quite evil of them to ask for money for the ability to just have the sound play during times when you're not watching the video in the foreground. I think I'll probably just have to switch back and forth with apologies for missing snippets of the live stream. I think you might, but then again, maybe that thing with the Discord sound might work. Um, Obviously depends on your own preferred method of watching interactive writing live streams, because if you need to see the text on the screen, which I admit is only here on YouTube, and I can't. I think it's possible in principle. There's a way to play video on Discord, but I haven't done it ever yet. I have no idea how this works. I might even be able to do it. Um, yeah, what? I'll have to give me a second. Yep, I'll vanish out of the picture again and find out why. Yeah, it's not possible to link it. Actually, why not? Why can't I link the speech channel? I have no idea. Um, it should be the the lowest one, probably called lounge in English too. I can even this one. Funny, it's impossible to link apparently. The only channel impossible to link apparently. And I can just do it. There's no harm because no one is using the lounge chat now. Of course, because that's the beauty of having a small customer base. There's not a lot of overlap and crowd. You just have it all to yourself, and I think that's wonderful. Why would I want to be a big streamer when I can have a little but very nice audience of wonderful people like you? I just I had to do that. Now no one is here. Sprachchat beitreten, as we say in Germany, and here we are. Text chat in speech channels. Yeah, that's possible, but we don't do that now. And here we go. So yeah, you might be able to hear me now. I think should work. I have no idea. I'll have to practice a bit. Maybe like this. And I won't be able to hear you very well, but yeah, I think it's not necessary anyway. But you should be able to type, and you should be able to hear me. And I can even activate. Yeah, I can even activate a video, but that would be a video from the phone because I don't want to try and do the sound uh, from the laptop via Discord and YouTube at the same time because I have no idea how the streaming software will react. So if that's okay with you, we can do this. Does it work for you? If Epiphany says audio is enough, I've got it. Sorry about the difficulty. Sorry about that. I should have seen that problem coming. I just thought, well, with the arrogance of a person who's already done it, uh, what can be difficult about it? Because we've never had any kind of difficulty before, and I didn't even think. Um, that there might be a problem with people on their phones because you can't just put YouTube on in the background there, and you can't very well share your display. An advantage of the sound channel might also be that there is less of a lag, says Gekrimbel. That's right, still having the YouTube to be able to go back to and look at the written text when it serves, but listening on the language channel might be nice. Yes, that's right. Just as a warning, it might also be confusing because YouTube, of course, doesn't actually stream live in the sense of there's a delay, as Gekrimbel mentioned, of a few seconds. So the video will not be in sync with the sound you hear via the Discord. It's all, well, if it was easy, anybody could do it. And you're special, I'm special, we're all special here. So there's that to consider. So we're getting closer to the actual writing, and I hope nobody is too annoyed yet. I guess everybody is still here, which I'm glad to see. And since the very first idea we had is one I would like to accept for the principle of the matter, because I don't want to start my interactive writing live stream with rejecting an idea proposed by the interactive live stream chat. That would be in quite bad taste, wouldn't it? Mm. But I also like the idea. And I was wondering how to do that, but also I think I should say a few more things about the process of writing in the hopes of not boring you. So, um, as I already said, you can plan what you are going to do, and I don't. And I think that's okay. Is the only way a truly interactive writing stream can work, I think. But there's always in life you need some sort of compromise, as is the case here too. So we need to consider whenever we make a decision that these decisions have impacts for the future. It's quite similar in real life. And if you haven't, but I actually think everyone here in the stream has already written themselves. So you don't need me to mansplain to you how that works. But still, I don't know who else might be watching right now on YouTube without being in the Discord. And secondly, I don't know who might be watching this video later on, because there's always a possibility of someone 10 years hence boredly clicking around on YouTube and finding my little video and starting it. So maybe short introduction is nice for them too. So yes, I'm happy to go ahead and just write stuff, but if we have absolutely no idea where we're going, we're you might I'm not sure how popular it is in English. In Germany, most people read it in school. I think there's a little short story by Kafka about that mouse that is running into a corner, and in the end it gets eaten by a cat. It's quite a sad story. It's by Kafka. What do you expect? And the mouse sees itself running into the corner, and the room is getting smaller all the time, and it has less choices about where to go. And that's kind of what you do. Well, it's like it is in real life. The further you get, the less choices you have, because you have narrowed, you're boxed yourself in with your previous choices, and that's what happens in writing too. And as sometimes in real life, you can break out of those choices you made before in different ways, but it's often at great cost because, for example, you have to retcon. Not sure how popular the term is and if everybody knows it. It stands, as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, for retroactive continuity or something. So you have to change the text you've written before to fit what you're trying to write for the future, or you have to bend yourself in knots trying to make what you want to write fit with what you have already written. So you get the matter. It's getting difficult, of course. So we should consider where we're going, but I don't think we're doing a lot wrong by showing the other magi. Maybe not all, maybe just some. And of course, it makes sense even in the beginning of such a story. And I think, well, we don't have to we don't have to make the firm decision right now what form of literature this is going to be. But I think I'm going to work with the assumption that this is the beginning of a novel now. So that makes a little bit of a difference in style. You're probably aware. Writing short stories is a bit different in several aspects of style. You don't, well, I do, but usually if you know anything about literature and know the conventions and all that, and want to have good literature, you usually don't have a short story as just a fragment that could also be a part of a bigger novel or something, because a short story is supposed to work on its own, and a novel is quite a different thing. All the pieces are supposed to fit together, so it's quite different ways of doing it. But I think we will use our short story, because I think that works with all of my short stories, because I don't actually do short stories. Let's be plain here. I just do fragments of bigger things that stop somewhere. And so we can quite easily use this short story as a start for a novel, and we'll do that. And I think the short story already gives us a bit of an idea of where this story is going. But still, we should probably um, make explicit some of the assumptions we all got from the original short story, so that we don't talk past each other when trying to decide what to do. For example, one thing that just springs to mind for me, I think in the original short story, it's quite heavily implied that the first magi are a force for good. Of course, good and evil are always crass simplifications, oversimplifications of categories we need in actual life, and nobody is just good and nobody is just evil. Um, we don't need to discuss that. That's consensus, I think. But there is a difference if we're trying to display the first magi as a group that's good people and that wants to help, or if we describe them or see them in the future, envision them, so to speak, as a force for evil, or maybe just something in between, or whatever else we might have. We could even have a plan where the first magi are a group that seems like it's working for the improvement and for making a better world in the beginning, but later on it turns out that they are having their own sinister purposes and just kind of an evil magic conspiracy that Munira has to stop. Not saying that that's what I want or that's what I envision when writing it, but that would be a possibility, and I think it might even be quite interesting, but it's not what I envisioned. So I won't be doing that on under my own power. You would have to tell me that's what you want, and maybe even develop some kind of plan to make it interesting for me. Because I am rather interactive and I'm very open to doing whatever you ask me to do. Kind of the central point of this whole exercise. But when I don't feel the story I'm writing, to again oversimplify a bit, when I don't feel the story I'm writing, I don't write very well. And that's not good, especially if we don't consider this a one-time thing, which we do exactly once for 90 minutes or something. And then we leave it, forget about it, and never try it again. In that case, it's not too bad to spend an hour. Maybe it might be even funny to watch me write a bad story, and not in the sense of an evil story, but just a story that's not very good and not entertaining. You might get a laugh out of that. And yeah, right. Millicent writes short stories. In short stories, I usually do less in-depth character description and environment since it takes up room for the story. Yeah, right. Yep, yep. That's one point. You're correct there. That's the difference. Uh, and where was I? Right. It might even be funny for you to watch me write a bad story where I don't understand myself where we're going and what we're trying to say. But I don't think it would carry us over the long distance if we don't have to decide that right now. But I think we should leave room for the possibility that this might become like the German interactive writing stream, a regular thing, especially since we've kind of almost worked out some of the technical difficulties. Yeah, Millicent writes bad story. By the way, if I'm butchering your name, if I'm saying it wrong, feel free to correct me. I'm really sorry. I only read your names on the screen, but I've never heard any of you say them. So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing them correctly. If I'm not, please correct me. Um, yeah, bad stories can be fun too. That's right. Yeah, we can do bad story. Not a problem at all. I do it all the time. It's very easy for me. There's tea in here, by the way, and I have sort of that little not funny talking about bad stories running gag in the German live stream where I make it an advertisement for tea, and I would like to do that here too because I really love tea. It's okay, says Millicent. Great. So I'll continue to say Millicent then. Mm, tea. You should try it yourself. It's really good. Mm. This writing live stream is powered by tea. Tea. Mm. It helps me calm down, which, depending upon your own preference in live stream hosts, you might think I am in dire need of. So, yeah, uh, but let's just go with what we have. But yeah, right. As I said, you might try to put some thought into how you envision the future of the story, even if you're, as I, not really sure how or if we're going to write it in any time. But still, we should have some idea where we're going. I'm not. I am powered by tea, says Millicent. That's great. That's great. We all should be. I think it's just a wonderful drink. Oh, love it. Um, I'm just going to tell you what I think, and that's not a call for you to agree or to accept that. And it's not even me saying this would be best or easiest for me to do. So please only contradict me if it's really important to you. This is just to put something out there and to have a basis for, well maybe discussion or just so you know what I would do in case of you not intervening. So maybe you can still prevent it. That's easier if you know what I'm going to do. What I envision. And then there's also kind of a difficulty that's peculiar to this little live stream. I'm trying to find a sort of a balance between having you on board as writers with me together and as interactive participants of this. But also, and I'm not even sure how reasonable that is, maybe you want to give me some feedback on how you prefer it. Um, I also don't want to put too much spoilers in there because it can be interesting, even for me myself writing, to discover what the characters are going to do and where the story goes during the course of the story. So when I say I envision something or I had some sort of idea about something or another during the writing of the short story, that doesn't necessarily mean I will actually do it later on because we might get better ideas. But still, what I think is that the first Magi actually are trying to improve society and make a better world. It's just that they are very foreign to it. They don't know how the world works and they don't really understand human society. So that's where I expect a lot of the conflict to come in. Because while there are different traditions and philosophies of storytelling, I am still, let's say it how it is, trapped in the traditional, oh, yeah, the one I learned as traditional, where stories are mainly driven by some sort of conflict. Conflict not necessarily in the narrow sense of two people fighting, but for example, somebody trying to do something and having to overcome an obstacle. That can be a very simple one, like, for example, me wanting to open a window, but the little lock on the window is locked and I need to find the key and it's in some sort of cupboard. So that's a conflict because I want to open a window, but I can't. There's something preventing me from getting what I want, and I have to overcome this obstacle by finding the key in the cupboard. This might make a great story if written well, but it might also make a very boring story. But it would make a story. There's a conflict, there's a resolution in the end. It might, of course, also have a bad outcome. I might die trying to find that key by falling from a ladder or something, but there's a conflict. There are also stories that work without conflict. I think there's, for example, I recently read about some sort of Japanese tradition of storytelling that has a name which I forgot, unfortunately, that is famous for working without conflict. But we can try that if you want, but I'm not very well versed in it, so I wouldn't attempt it without your what's it called, encouragement. Without your encouragement, I wouldn't try it. So yeah, what I was going to say. So one of the fundamental conflicts that will drive this story, in my mind, what I expect to happen, will be that the first magi are very powerful. They have this supernatural magical power. How exactly that works, it's not clear in my mind either. We will work it out a bit in the story. There will, of course, be more detail. They will talk about it. We will learn some things, but I think it will remain a bit of a mystery. I'm not a fan as a reader as well as a writer. I'm not a fan of doing these magic systems where in the end magic is just a different aspect of physics. While I'm a big fan of physics in the usual world, in the real world, in the sense of that I like how it works, not that I'm actually studying physics. That's I'm a little lazy also in the real world. Uh, but I think magic in stories works better for me with a bit of mystery in it. Because otherwise it's not really magic. I think it's just technology, which you might argue about. There's that all sufficiently advanced magic is indistinguishable from technology. That old chestnut. But that's not what I usually do. I can do it if you like. We can try that if you have a clear system that works with some sort of whatever you might envision, we can try that. But there's some mystery there. Anyway, so the first Magi are a group of powerful people with magical abilities who have decided they are now trying to correct what is wrong in this world. And I think we can all agree it is quite a lot. So that is a huge task, even for people with magical powers. Yeah, Epiphany says, I say, go with your intuition about magic. I think I'll do that. Thank you. And um, so, on the one hand, they have this great advantage. Millicent says, I think not everything needs to be explained. The writer can fill it in with their thoughts. Yeah, that's kind of my idea. The reader, yeah, makes more sense. So there you go. And how do I say this? Even I, with my deep and uh, broad and great and wonderful knowledge of all this world, I know basically everything. That's why I'm hosting this live stream. Um, Even I wouldn't know exactly what one would wish for to make this world perfect, except for something absurd, like just make everyone a nice and perfect person. So if I wanted to let's say I would be if I was an all-powerful dictator of the whole world and could rely on all my laws always to be obeyed or something, of course I would have some ideas of what I could want to improve, but I wouldn't even be certain what measures would make for a better world and which would make for a worse. That's something social science students would probably know more about, or scientists, social scientists would have been the right word there. But I'm not an expert on that. And so the first Magi know even less about that. They don't really understand real people, and that might be a nice role for Munira to have, because she knows real people quite a lot better, and she can very well imagine how it is for real people without magical powers. Millicent says, I can think apparently. Oh well, don't don't worry, we all make some sort of typo now and then. You will see a lot from me, that's for sure. So, what I was thinking now, since we have been going for 40 minutes and I have been talking all the time, I hope that's not too annoying to you, but I think I'm trying to make to strike the right balance here, because I think a writing stream where you just watch me typing um, is not really interactive and doesn't quite work. So I wanted to lay out my basic thoughts and ideas for you. So those I think I'll stop with that now and start typing very soon. Um, but feel free to just come in and say whatever you think and want me to do whenever you feel like it. And I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. But for now, let's see how we go. And first off, there's another technical difficulty. I would really love to get Word, maybe just by making it a bit by enhancing the zoom. I would like Word to display only one page. There you go. That's much better, because I hate this two pages beside each other display in Word. It could actually be useful, but unfortunately, Microsoft hasn't yet, after how long have they been doing Office? 30 years or something, figured out a way to make it actually work and to make it usable. So there you go. What I envisioned was, for the next scene, the two of them, Munira and the person from the first Magi. They don't have a name, I think. That's something, by the way. Um, the I haven't even decided, but let's say that's a problem. I think I'm going to call them the Magi for now, because some fantasy stories do that, use Magi as singular too. And I might say Magus, which is the more conventional singular, but it's also male gendered. And this person is definitely not, so I don't want to misgender them. And I don't actually know a really gender neutral term derived from magi. So I'm going to use magi for the singular too. So the magi, which needs a name. So if you want to make up a name for them, you can do that now, and we will use that. And Munira, visit some sort of cafe, order something, sit there, drink a cup of some hot beverage, probably some sort of tea will be involved, as you might have guessed, and meet with other members of the first Magi to discuss. Munira needs to get to know them. They need to get to know Munira. Maybe our Magi from the first story will want to tell them, sort of a debriefing, if you like. Mm. And this way, we will get to know more members of the organization, if we want to call it that. We will also get to know more about the organization and the people. We will get to know more about our first Magi in the sense of the first one that we met, and Munira. And we will have the advantage, you might know this trick because it's very popular and I might even say stale and overused, but there are not a lot of great alternatives, I think. We will have Munira a sort of our portal into their world in the sense of Munira knowing nothing about them, quite similar to our situation, because so do we. Um, so they can explain stuff to Munira so the reader can learn it. Because if we just had six of the first Magi sitting together and having a discussion, it would be very difficult for us mere mortals to understand what they're saying because their frame of reference is quite different from ours. And if they have to consider Munira and make her understand so that she can participate in the discussion, um, they have a natural explanation for why they talk in a way that is understandable to our readers and us as well. Maybe too much explanation for you because you would have gotten it without my explaining it because it's quite obvious. But as I said, I'm not only doing this for the 3 people in the chat right now, but I'm also considering that there might be other people watching who have not been thinking a lot about how stories work and how they are written and might be interested to know how I envision that and how that works in my mind and what the usual techniques, bit of a big word for such a small thing, but the usual techniques are. So, first off, anyone wants to make up a name for the Magi? If you want, you can just type it into the Discord. Secondly, do you have an idea for a cafe that comes to mind? We need it as a background for this whole scene. I don't expect us in this live stream to get further than this scene. So this live stream will from now on be dominated by this cafe. I think it should be quite a normal cafe is maybe taking it too far, but it is a cafe in the real world. So it's something you or I could just go to. It doesn't need to be in Germany, although the first scene or the short story, if you prefer, was taking place in Germany, but that doesn't matter. That's not a limitation to the first Magi. We can have it in New York, in London, in Novosibirsk, or in Tokyo, or in some small village somewhere in the south of France. Whatever you like. Everything's possible. And it might be a very, very, very pedestrian normal cafe. Maybe it's a Starbucks. There you go. Or it might also be a quaint little cat cafe somewhere where 3 people sit on cushions stroking the cats that are made available for that reason, and the quirky owner always forgetting what they ordered. Everything's possible, doesn't matter to the story, doesn't really matter. Or maybe it does. Maybe this cafe is the usual meeting place. Maybe it is where the secret cabal of the first Magi always meets. It's also something that I could leave up to you, that you could decide if you feel like it. Oh. So let's give it a try. Um, see, I typed something. There's a quotation mark, I think they're called in English. So that's it. Ooh, there you go. I think in English you do it like that, right? The punctuation around quotation marks in English works like that. In Germany, we have a comma here, but I don't think that's done in English, right? No, no, I think it's like that. I always have to look it up. I think, pardon me, I'm actually going to look it up because I don't want to do it wrong all the time right now. And it also leaves you a bit of time to consider if you want to give me some input on one of the things, or if you just prefer that I decide and you give me input later on when something comes to mind. Both are completely okay. And for now, what do I call it? Punctuation, quotation marks, British English. There you go. UNR edu. Thank you. British versus American English. Doesn't matter. Commas and periods within quotation marks. We'll write it this way, this way. Yeah, that's fine. But what I want is something else. Color flavor. Yeah, that's nice, but that's not what I'm looking for. No, this is not the answer I need. I need another explanation. Quotation marks. The punctuation guide. Quotation marks and direct quotations. Sussex. There, the only emperor. Yeah, with a full stop, that's nice. But how about question marks? Do you put commas behind question marks? Going to look for a question mark on this page. There's one, but that's not. I don't have it. Jesus, come on. That was easier the last time I checked. I used better search terms, I guess. Direct speech. I personally like the idea of the small cat cafe because animals, but I don't insist. And Millicent wrote maybe a light and busy cafe as a contrast to what they are talking about, which maybe feels more like it should be more private. Yeah, yeah, we can do that. And the cat cafe is not actually a problem, except, so feel free to correct me in any mistakes I make. I have never actually been to a cat cafe. So there might be trouble there because I have no idea how it works. I guess you just order the cat and tell them if you like it well done. Or sorry. That will be the last joke I have made about this in this live stream, and let's not never talk about it again. Still, I need to find out about the cursed quotation marks. How about, come on, give me one question. Here, question. There you go. But the question mark is at the end, so that doesn't help me either. Jesus. Question. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go with what feels right, and you can tell me what to do if you think it's wrong. Asked doubtfully, looking at the entrance to. We'll let us be. I think I might even let you participate in my Google experience. Come on, why not? At least those of you who are watching on YouTube. Wait, Mm, I'll put in the browser window so you can at least see what I'm doing, because now I'm going to find some inspiration. Here we go. I'm going to find some inspiration about cat cafes because I really have no idea about them. And we'll just go with what we find. Cat cafe, not cat cafe manager, just cat cafe. Probably game. Katzencafé Mietshaus. That's in Germany, so why not? I think the short story started in Germany, so why not allow this little indulgence and have the next scene also play in Germany? Mind you, it doesn't have to be this exact Katzencafé Mietshaus. I just want to know how they work. They have a website, so let's look at that. Oh, that looks cute, doesn't it? Hello, Katzencafé Mietshaus. Apparently, they have little boxes for the cats to climb on the walls. They have opening times, lots of tasty snacks, hot and cold drinks, and of course, the lovely little companions in comfortable atmosphere in the middle of Bielefeld. We offer not only the possibility to relax together with our cats, thanks to our Wi-Fi spots, the Mietshaus is the ideal place to learn, work, and surf for free, of course. That sounds nice, doesn't it? And there are little pictures of cats. Yeah, well, let's go with that. Um, our cats. They even look. There are the cats. You can look at them and get to know them. This is Felix. This is Kalina. This is Lea. This is Professor, and this is Waiki. So that's how it works. And they have, of course, they have a menu and lots of tasty things. I will be getting hungry, I think, because I already am Italian wrap, hummus plate, sandwich toast. Oh yeah, sounds lovely. Um, Now Meat's house is very obvious joke. I'm not sure I'm going to steal that. Um, and Gekrimble writes, I at least know a person who has been one, and he only described it as there being a lot of friendly cats around, so at any moment you had a high probability of finding one willing to be petted, but no special structure to consider. You have to explain the word game joke in the name. Yeah, thanks, Gekrimble. Yeah, well, but Gekrimble is right. I have to. So let me do it. Katzencafé is just German for cat cafe. There's no joke in there, and it's called Mietshaus, and that's a bit depending on how thoroughly I'm going to explain it. This might take a while, so I'm trying to make it short but understandable. Um, Miets or Mieze is kind of a German cute name for a cat. It's supposed to echo the sound they make a tiny bit. Cats don't actually say meats, I know that, but there's some sort of similarity supposed to be there. So we call cats Mieze. It's not the official name. The official name is Katze, but like you might call a dog a doggo in English or a woofer. Not sure if that's a thing you do in English, but or a canine, which is more of a technical term. But yeah, you get what synonyms are, don't you? And Mieze is another word for cat, a cute one. And house, of course, means house. But you also have another German word that sounds similar, um, that is called, it's first off a verb, mieten, which means to rent something, like to rent an apartment or to rent a bike or something. And derived from that verb, mieten, is the word Mietshaus, which means a rented house, a house full of rented apartments, a house in which you can rent a flat. So that's called a Mietshaus. And if you now use the phonetically identical word Miets for Katze, for cat, you get Mietshaus like here, like it's written here on the website. Do you see my mouse? Yeah, you do it. You're here. Mietshaus. So then it means cat house. And that's funny. Voila, there's a joke. It's not mine, it's theirs, but it's a very it's like one of those child jokes you do where a child asks you, "Hey, what do you call the house where the cat lives?" And then the adult goes, "Oh, I have no idea. Please tell me." And then the child says, "It's called Meat's house." And then the adult goes, "Oh, that's funny. Ha 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 ha! I never heard that one before." But yeah, it's cute, indeed. So here you go. I don't think we're going to use it though. We're going to do something else. Here's our story. Uh, what do we do? What do we do? Katze, cat, kitty. We'll have to solve that later. No clever ideas come to mind right now, but it doesn't matter. To the little. Um, so we're just going to call it Ilse's Katzencafé for now, and we'll have to think about that later on because if you wait for me to find out to find a clever idea for it, you might still be watching this tomorrow, and I admit even I have things to do before that. Name. There's a note we put there so we don't forget about it. Katzenkaffee. I was expecting you to take me to some sort of magical tower between worlds where I can see shooting stars, rainbows, and unicorns from the windows. But you're taking me to a cafe. Cafe. Quite. The strange person answered. Even better, no? You can have hot chocolate and a piece of cake there. And if I understand this correctly, you can even pet a cat. You're not. Or are you allergic? They asked. There you go. I don't think that comma is a thing in English. They asked, suddenly looking slightly embarrassed and worried. Munira shook her head. No, not at all. Just maybe a bit disenchanted. The Magi chuckled. Oh, how I love writing in English. I so miss that word because my characters do it a lot. Um, and you have such nice words for laughing in English. There's no chuckling in German going on. We don't have that. We don't know what it is. We just have laughing, laugh. People can laugh or not laugh. They can laugh quietly or they can laugh loudly, but there are no real other words for laughing. And I hate that because it needs nuance. Not every laugh is a ha 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 ha. I think. Well, good thing we have chuckling in English. Chuckled. We might need to get used to that because almost all of us love cats. No, it's not. Munira started, then looked up at the Magi mistrustfully. Are you having me on? I would never, the Magi replied with a wave of the hand. Oh, one other thing. Um, when did I write this story? Um, we have to make a decision, and we really have to make that decision now. Um, not very important, but I need to check. When did I write this story? I wrote this story. Yes, go ahead. I wrote this story in The end of 2020, apparently. All right, so there was already a pandemic at that time. Although I'm not sure when I wrote the original German story, and I'm too lazy to go and find out now. But it doesn't matter too much anyway. Um, what I'm going to ask you now is there a global corona pandemic in this story? Because it makes a difference. Are we in a world and in a time where the pandemic is already going on? Because if it is, then our characters are making a statement by wearing a mask or by not wearing a mask, for example. And the cat cafe is also making a statement by requiring customers to wear masks or not. And since I have never yet written a story where the pandemic is actually happening for a variety of reasons, my what's the right word I'm looking for? My very tentative is maybe the right word. My tentative vote would be for. Millicent is against. In my opinion, no, it makes it so much harder. Yeah, it kind of does. You're right. Yep, yep. Then again, the pandemic is, and not only the pandemic, but also the way humanity deals with it, or doesn't, refuses to deal with it, makes it worse. Actually, actively is very much engaged in actively making it worse. Mm. Is definitely part of the stuff that's wrong with our society. But I'm not dead set on having that. I just maybe we can look what we do. Sorry for it, it might be a tad overdone because we are only three people. Um, we can have a little vote on it, a real formal kind of formal vote. I do that in the German live stream sometimes, and I think I would like to introduce it. And a very simple example might be a good way to introduce it. So let me show you how this vote works. Vote, which reminds me of something, but don't mind it. Do we have the pandemic? I'm going to write Corona pandemic in our story. Yes or no? And the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to offer, and we might be doing that more often during the writing of the story. I'm going to put emoji into the question, which I'm going to post in the Discord chat. Where's the other one? Here we go. And then I'm going to post the message with the emoji, and then I'm going to add the emoji to the post, which you can do in Discord. It just takes me a while because I'm bad at it. There you go. And then I'm going to add the reaction emoji like this, and then you can see in this case, in this concrete special case, you can see the question, do we have the corona pandemic in our story? And you have a thumbs up for yes and the thumbs down for no. And you have the reaction emoji below displayed by Discord. And you have one thumbs up, and you can click on that, and you can click on the thumbs down. You can also click on more than one reply, which doesn't make sense or doesn't make a lot of sense in a yes or no question, but we might have other questions, like maybe, I don't know, 5 different names we could have for the Magi. And if you want to pick not only one, but two that you like, that's no problem. And also, since if you vote for yes and no in this vote, it doesn't actually change the outcome. I'm not against it. You can do it. It just doesn't make a lot of sense because you can save the 2 clicks and get the same result. Of course, on the other hand, you show that you're there and that you participate by clicking on both thumbs. So that's worth something, I guess. Here we go. 3 votes, counting my own, which is always the first one because I click both. Yeah, I just explained to you why it makes no sense. But for me, it makes sense because it's easier for you to click on the reaction emoji if they're already there, and they're already there when I click them. So that's the reason why I do it. Yeah. So the pandemic is there. That, of course, gives us one question, which might even be a difficult one, because I want maybe not even Munira from the beginning, but I want our Magi to be conscious of the pandemic and to be nice about it. At least, yeah, I want that. I don't want them to be like, oh well, I can't get sick, so why should I care about anyone else? That's not the attitude they have. So our Magi would prefer then to sit outside, maybe. Of course, they can always use magic to do stuff, but there's the behavior we display um, serves as orientation for others. So them doing some sort of invisible protection spell from infection or something would, of course, uh, be possible in some sort of sense. Although that's the kind of thing we might have to discuss later on, what exactly their magic can be used for and can't, because the constraints we put on the magic might later on be important for the conflict that we can use in our story. Because if they can just magic every problem away without consequences and without trouble, then there won't be any conflict at all. Mm. But anyway, I would like them to consider that and be, yeah, that's the word I didn't find before, to be considerate about it. Um, they stood, they, yeah, nice word. They stood, I like the why, not the question why, but the letter why. I like that. I think we should use it more. Maybe we can even call them the Magi with Y. But now that might be a tad hipster, don't you think? Anyway, they stood with hands on hips before the entrance, thought for a while, then turned to Munira and asked, "Do you think the cats can come to the outside tables too?" So there you go. Yeah, as Millicent said, it makes things a bit more complicated, but complicated is not necessarily a bad thing, because if we don't want a complicated story, we can just make the one I made up in the beginning, where I want to open a window just without the lock. So I want to open the window, I go and open the window, and then I'm satisfied because I have opened the window. And that's not an interesting story. So we need some sort of complication and conflict. And I admit, um, having to wear a mask is not by itself the central complicated point of a story that makes it fascinating to read, but I think it can make for some sort of conflict and interesting complication, so we can use it. And one consequence of that is that now our Magi has to think about uh, the has to weigh the pros and cons of wanting to pet the cat, but also wanting to be considerate about the pandemic and the probability that the cats can't come outside. I'm not actually sure. I have no idea, and I'm going to look that up now. And you can watch me do it. Um, because I think if I had a cat cafe, I might not let my cats come outside to the tables outside, because they can run away, they can kill birds. Cats kill a lot of birds, actually. Of course, only the free roaming ones. Birds usually don't come inside the house. And yeah, right. Epiphany agrees. If the cats were allowed to go outside, they could run away. There could be some sort of fence or something, but I don't think cat cafes do that. So there's kind of a problem there. Mm. Still, I'm going to check. Cat cafe. What do you even call it? Outside tables? Is that the word you would use in English? Ah, well, doesn't help. Cat cafe exterior. Unless it's a fence part. Oh, they might have what's it called here, a sort of patio, or an inner courtyard. You know, like a bit like this. They might have something like. Oh, you don't see it. Wait, I can show you. I can show you. Here you go. They might have something like this, a courtyard that's fenced in. Uh, it's a bit hidden by the window that I am in, but it's right there. That's what I mean. This right here. I think we can do that. Let's go with that. We'll go with that. Oh, I closed the window. That wouldn't have been. That wasn't a good idea, but doesn't matter. We're done with it. Where is my? I now need my mouse cursor. There you go. And I need to close that window. Gekrimbel says, well, wearing a mask or not makes for a lot of conflict around everywhere. And then a chicken emoji. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So there you go. Munira shrugged. No idea. How would I? Excuse me, kind serving person. The Magi exclaimed to someone. Gekrimbel writes, oh yes, an inner courtyard might be nice. Yeah, I think so too. To someone in a serving in an apron. Let's just go like that. In the black apron. Sometimes I say that in the German live stream all the time, so you'll have to bear with it too. Sometimes unnecessary detail makes for a bit more immersion. You know, not saying that this is a strike of genius to make it a black apron instead of simply an apron, but it's a bit more detail than needed, and that implies not even necessarily consciously to the mind of the reader that the world is real and that there is more than is just necessary for the plot. If everything we write is only what is necessary for the plot, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like it's set in a real, breathing, living world where people don't just have one objective and everything revolves around that. So we need some little things, details, and coincidences that happen and that are not central to the plot to make it feel real. But as always, we have to strike a balance too, because if we have too much of that, then we distract from the central conflicts and the important parts of the plot. People get confused, don't understand what our story is about, get bored because you don't want to read for 20 pages every detail of how the thread of this apron is composed and what's written on it and where the stains are. You don't want that either. So you have to strike a balance again. And I'm not sure if black apron is already enough. So let's do a little bit more detail and then we're done. With a, I'm going with a very obvious and not very creative solution. Black apron with a stylized, glittering golden cat. What do you call it? Printed or on it? Not actually print. I think what you do if you have this shimmering golden writing on textiles, but I'm not sure how it is actually uh, brought on the textile. I don't know enough about the production process for that. To someone in a black apron with stylized, glittering golden cat on it. And if we prefer sitting outside to minimize risk of infection, while also not foregoing, it's actually intentional, of course, that the Magi speaks a little bit um, quaintly. So I'm aware that this is unusual. Just saying this because English is not my first language, so you might notice and wonder if it's intentional. In this case, it is intentional, but it might happen unintentionally because English is not my first language. So feel free to give me feedback on how the stuff I write feels to you. You really don't need to feel bad about it, especially not on my account. We do that in the German live stream all the time, actually. And German is my first language, but still, for example, I don't like to talk about it, but I'm 40 years old, so I have not always the best knowledge of, for example, how 12-year-olds speak. And I'm not quite sure how old Munira exactly is. Maybe, well, she was in school, so 14, something like that. Um, and we have discussions about what kind of language and what kind of wording is appropriate in the German novel 2, which we're writing in an interactive writing chat. So I expect just basic knowledge about how humans work, that it will be even worse in English, because my feeling for the English language needs to be worse than for German. So really, no embarrassment, no problem. Feel free to always tell me when something I write feels weird to you and you think I should word it differently. So if we prefer sitting outside to minimum while also not foregoing, I thought around 14.2, says Millicent. Yeah, that's great. So let's go with that. I would even have to check if I say it somewhere in the original story, because that's possible. I don't have it all memorized necessarily. Of infection while also not foregoing the pleasurable chance of experiencing your cat's the pleasurable chance of interacting, of kindly, with your lovely cats. Would there be a way to achieve this? The person in the apron stop and look at them as if considering whether their leg was being pulled by this weird customer, but then decided to respond in a professional and friendly way. Oh yes, we have a courtyard just through here. You can sit. Yeah. What would be a nice synonym for outside? We can always just ask Word if they have an idea. In Germany, we might say something like "an der frischen Luft." I don't like that, because it's what parents always tell their children where to go when they don't want them to read or play video games all the time. But it would be open air, outdoor, external, separate, open air, maybe that. Freestanding, independent, external. No, that's not what we want. Al fresco, which is actually used in culinary settings, but nope. Beyond yonder, elsewhere. No, 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 no. I think we're going with open air. You can sit in the open air. Because you probably realize that, but just to make it clear, they can't wear a mask while having their hot chocolate and cake, obviously. So that's why I'm not just having the magician, the magi, wear a mask. I was just going to get tea there, but my tea, it's all gone. I already drank it. It's a sad story, right? Another conflict. I'll have to make new tea. Um, Perfectly illustrating the difference between conflict and interesting conflict, because that's why I'm not going to do it. I'll just have to work with what I still have, which is now exactly nothing. I guess we can still do it. Just through here, you can sit in the open air. The cats are allowed to visit. Because there's a fence. Um, yeah, well, I feel they need to say something else, because that doesn't feel complete. But well, I think we'll just go with this. We have to look at this like a first draft. And while I realize I might be making excuses for my own laziness, um, Yeah. I hope I'm not disturbing your flow with this suggestion. I was wondering what Munira's nationality is. Yeah, we know she's not Turkish. Um, and we also know that she's called Munira, which is. Yeah, she's not a German national, otherwise, she couldn't be deported because we're not that far. Munira is an Arabian? What's it called in English? Arabian, I guess, yeah? Name, an Arabian name. So she probably comes from somewhere around there. She might be. Well, uh, to make it obvious, I don't know. I haven't decided. She's not Turkish. That was just some racist bullshit the other people called her. Um, but that's it. You can make one up. Wouldn't make a lot of difference because Munira has grown up mostly in Germany, but not completely. So uh, I can even write it. I haven't still haven't quite made up a perfect system of when I answer verbally and when I type it into the chat. But I think sometimes I should type it into the chat just well to make it even more officially interactive. Um, you can decide if you like. So, because there's a fence, want me to prepare a table for you? Let's go with that. Yeah, right. What I was going to say, we have to consider this a rough draft, rough first draft, and I'm not sure how much I'm making excuses for my own laziness, but we have to live with the fact that it will never be perfect and that we will have things like that note up there in the corner. Um, that reminds us we need to check on things and we will make mistakes and we will have wording that is not quite perfect yet because we want to make some progress in our live streams as well so that it doesn't feel like the time is completely wasted. We need to write some words too because that's part of the fun to watch the story progress and develop. And also the details, it can even be helpful, although it is also devilishly complicated because you can imagine the story is interconnected. So if you change stuff in the beginning, that has influence, that changes interconnectedness and things that happen later on. And it's easy to get confused and forget about that, and so make the famous contradictions in stories. Um, so it's also a danger, but it can also make sense to change details later on if you write like me, at least, and don't have a perfect plan from the beginning. Because if you know where the story is going and how it ends, you can fit the details in the beginning to, for example, foreshadow that, to hint at it, and to fit better. So another excuse for not trying to get it perfect on the first draft. Want me to prepare a table for you? Very much so. Yes, they turned to Munira. Do you have a mask with you? She shrugged. We're not allowed. Here's some social commentary. There you go. Social criticism in our story. We're being real activists here. And that all of that on a Saturday morning, although I guess for Epiphany it's not a Saturday morning, but for the rest of us. Maybe it doesn't have to be specified, says Millicent. Could mention she know Arabic, but I don't feel it's important for the story. One understands she isn't from Germany, and he calling her Turkish make one thing Middle East kinda, but that's how I saw it. Yeah, yeah. I think it's not central to the story, but we might later on have her remember something from her early childhood, or maybe even talking to her parents, because she has parents. Um, they were mentioned in the short story in the beginning, so she shouldn't completely forget about them now that she's with the Magi. Um, we need to mention it somehow, even if we decide that she doesn't want to be with her parents anymore because they were bad people, which is possible. Unfortunately, lots of parents apparently are. Well, still, many consider the option of having parents better than of having not perfect parents better than having none at all. So we're going to have to tackle that sooner or later. Yeah. which is, I realize we're skirting uncomfortably close to that, well, but where do you actually come from thing, which is not what I'm getting at. Um, but for example, if she has memories from her early childhood, um, and it makes a difference if they're from Baghdad, or from Delhi, or from Cairo, or maybe from Fez. Um, that's all different things, and so that doesn't necessarily dictate her nationality, but it does make a difference where she has lived in her life. It might even be many different countries, because that obviously happens for several reasons if you're a refugee. We're not allowed to wear them in school. I don't think that's actually, in case you're wondering, because some of you aren't German. I don't, as far as I know, I don't have children in school, and you might have noticed I'm not a school child myself. I'm not actually sure, but as far as I know, this is not widespread. I think in most schools, pupils are allowed to wear masks, although it's not required. But I'm quite certain that there are schools where it's not even allowed, which is horrible. Um, and I just decided to have Munira be in one of them to make a little jab at them. There are reasons for and against, as always. We're not allowed to wear them in school, so uh, I don't quite see the point. But yes, there's one in my backpack. So, in case you're wondering, this is not Munira not caring or being, well, what's it called, being callous and thinking, well, what do I care? This is Munira saying, I have to sit in school in a little room with 30 other people all the time. They're all talking in a closed room, not allowed to wear masks. So what's the difference if I put the mask on when I'm walking through a cafe from one outside to the other outside for 2 seconds? So what's the point? That's what she's saying. If you don't mind, said the Magi, I would like you to wear it while we cross the cafes. I'm always typing the wrong sign there. The cafe's interior to get to the courtyard. Look, I'll wear one too. They pulled, uh, crumpled. Yeah, well, they are not. I would say this person, as we got to know them from the short story, they are not very well organized, and they have difficulty taking danger and problems seriously, and that's also one of the things about the first Magi that will be and continue to be a problem later on. So that's a shorthand indication of that character trait. And also, I need to check the color and the making of the coat. Dark blue velvet coat, that was it. A crumpled P2. Are they called that in English too? Not sure. I'm going to use it for now. Pulled a crumpled FFP2 mask from an inner pocket of their dark blue coat and put it on. Can't you just, I don't know, What's the verb in English for using magic? Enchant. What do you say? Um, Magic is a verb in itself, I think. Enthrall, fascinate, no. Bewitch, charm, no, 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 no. Mesmerize, beguile, that's not it. Magic can be used as a verb too. What's the act of using magic as a verb? Oh God, we have an adjective here. Charming, noun. Getting closer. Where's the verb? Needed. Ah, damn it. Conjure? Yeah. Illusion, deception, trickery. No, 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 no. That's not the. How do you say? Um, it's a bit. It's a tad embarrassing, but I'm going to use a translator now because I just know where it comes to mind. What do you say? Conjuring? No. Perform magic. Do conjuring tricks. Yeah, there is no good word. I already feel redeemed. Perform magic, charm, spell. Yeah, well, that's the noun. Mm, mm. Conjure up. Yeah, well, we'll have to work with what we have, as is so often the case in life, isn't it? Yep. Or use magic. Yeah, yeah. Let's go with that. Use magic to prevent infection. Let's go with that. Another friendly chuckle. Um, well, since I have the translator already open, um, going to check which will I use. Muffled is the right word. Muffled is the word I use. Chuckle muffled by the mask. um, it's complicated. They replied, but you will learn in time. I promise you will learn a lot. Munira swallowed from what she had experienced in different schools so far. The chance of learning a lot did not sound as enticing to her as the Magi seemed to expect. They, well, she shrugged off her backpack, took out the mask. Yeah, I realize you might start to feel a bit worried or maybe even already disappointed that we might not get to really seeing and getting to know the other magi because it's already 11:34 where I am. I'm still thinking about the tea, but it's gone, sadly. Um, and yeah, that might be true. We might not get to that point today, but we can make a new appointment for another writing stream if you like this one. So you can already think, yeah, maybe you can use that time even to start to think about which other characters we will have as Magi and how they will be. Will they all be similar to this one? Will they all be crassly different? Will they be completely different characters? Will they even be human? Will they look similar to humans, or will one of them be just like, for example, um, a floating dice, like in that new season of Sparrow Academy or something? Um, we can do whatever we want. It's our story. We just we should try to have it make sense in the end in some way. But we can do a lot of different stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Took out the mask and stepped through the cafe itself into the courtyard, passing the what do you call that in English? The cake. I'm going to say display. In Germany, we would say Regal, and I think in English that's cupboard. But would you say cake cupboard in a setting in a cafe? Would you say that? Um, Passing the cake display, she stopped for a few seconds to look at the delicacies behind the glass. Yes, to schedule a new time. Yeah, we can do that, no problem. We might even be able to do it next Saturday at the same time, if that is all right for you. I would have to look into my calendar for that, but it might be possible and feels okay to me. Yeah, it would definitely be possible for me. So you can consider that one option. Or maybe Epiphany says, I'd be happy to schedule a new time as well. Oh, glad to hear that, because I expect it means you like this so far, at least a bit. So we can do this next week, next Saturday, or maybe the one after if you don't want to have it in too tight a schedule. We don't have to decide that right now. We can write in the Discord or somewhere else to make it to finalize the appointment. But I'm happy to do it again too, and I'm glad that you are at least open to repeating the experience. Um, they actually seemed pretty attractive right now. She hadn't had time for breakfast, and while this all still felt like a dream, and she hadn't even quite decided on good or bad kind, apparently almost getting, oh, now I forgot the word, deported by German police thugs, was hungry work because she felt her stomach grumble. Oh, sorry. She heard the Magi say from the door towards the courtyard, and she instinctively ducked and followed them, mumbling an apology herself. I'm trying to make a little nod in the direction of showing that the Magi is nice, even if a bit weird in some ways. Before she heard them finish the sentence, would you like to go on looking for a while? No hurry. Or maybe I should, or actually, maybe I should have a look myself. Might be more informative than the plain menu. No? The Magi started returning to the cake display, but with Munira now in the way. A short and a bit awkward dance ensued when they tried. That's what I said before. This is also, of course, completely unnecessary, but I think it feels a bit more real if that sort of thing happens now and again. When they tried to negotiate who would go where in the small, what's it called? Corridor. Maybe just corridor. Is that a good word for what I'm looking for? Hall, hallway, meadow, open field. Okay, yeah, of course, that's another. Yeah, that's a synonym. Plot. No, 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 no. Let's use corridor. Or maybe. mm, let's passage. That's even better. Small passage towards the courtyard. But eventually they managed. Munira felt a bit silly because she was actually burning to ask the Magi a few questions much more important than if they were going to have ciabatta or cheesecake. But, well, she was hungry, and it was nice of them to not chide her for not following as agreed. I think that um, creamy thing with the raspberries looks nice, the Magi said. Yeah, I realize I misspelled that, sorry. Creamy, Magi said. I shall have three. They turned to look for a server, a waiter. Waiter. Yeah, there you go. Waiter and waitress are gendered words in English, are they not? Wait staff. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because in Germany we just use this asterisk thing to make the words gender neutral. Not that it works very well. It's a bit awkward, but I think it's the best we have, and it's the one. It's not perfect consensus, but it's mostly agreed upon, especially by the non-binary and trans community, um, for degendering words. Yeah, and in English, you might have to help me out a few more times about that. Thank you. For wait stuff, of course I can't say wait stuff then. Look for wait stuff. Again, finding the same person, still watching them as if unsure if they were dangerous. Excuse me again. Should I order from there now, or do you prefer us telling you at our table? You can do both, she said. However you like. The Magi shrugged. In that case, three of I'm going to copy that now just. the creamy things with the raspberries for me, and the um, what's it called? And a kabuza if you have one. Sorry, she replied. I think I'm getting it wrong with the commas and the quotation marks, but I'm going to look it up. That will be perfect when we meet here next time. I promise it will be perfect. There won't be any punctuation mistakes at all. Although, not to give off a wrong impression here, I'm not. I don't think that what's it called? Orthography. That's not a word in English, is it? Um, Rechtschreibung is what we say in German. Spelling or orthography is a word. All right, let's use that. I'm not of the opinion that spelling and grammar should be important, but in a way they just are, especially if we want to get your writing published. So I'm trying to get it right. Also, who knows who's gonna watch this? Maybe one day the CEO of Random House will have nothing to do but start YouTube and watch my little writing stream, and I want to be on my best behavior for them. Sorry, she replied. What's that? The Magi looked at them silently, looked at them for a few seconds, silently considering, and finally saying, you know, it's tea, but don't fret, any green tea will do in a pinch. Or, actually, why pinch if pinching's not necessary? Bring me some hot water, and I'll do the rest myself. Uh, oh well. Oh, I just made her a she. Why would I do that? There you go. Just not thinking at all. Sorry. So, yeah, there we go. The wait staff can't do that. The staff person, they, again, they, then they're both they. That's a bit, well, I think it's the best we can do for now. Sorry, they, I'll have to think about that. We can all think about it, and maybe we'll have a solution, one of us, or we all together will find a solution next time. But definitely not she, because we will not be assuming people's gender on this live stream, at least not intentionally. Sorry, I'm still practicing and I'm not good enough at it yet. Sorry, I was confused. Um, oh well. They nodded and wrote it down on a little notepad, then looked up again at Munira to ask, how about you? Have you decided to? Hmm, I'd like Coke and, well, do you have any idea what Munira might want to eat? Cheesecake, chocolate. I'm thinking she might want chocolate cake. I've been thinking about sorry, chocolate cake for a long time. Maybe that. Mm. and that and a piece of that of Jesus of that chocolate cake. I'm gonna do it if it's the last thing I do today. Yeah, Millicent says in this actual case, I think it's clear who's talking. Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Thanks. Thanks. Very useful. Your feedback, especially on these things, is always very useful because my perspective as the person who's typing it right then and there might be quite different from the perspective of a person reading it. And while you're not exactly in the situation of a person reading it later on, well, you get where I'm going. Chocolate cake. So, and I think it's 11:50 right now where I am, and I kind of feel that this might be a good place to finish our writing live stream for today. And to thank you for your lovely participation. I hope that this was at least almost as enjoyable for you as it was for me, in spite of the technical difficulty. I'm really sorry, Epiphany. I'm really sorry for not considering that in advance. I wasn't thinking at all of the possibility of the phone. And looking back, I can't understand why I wasn't thinking of that. Sorry. We can see how to do that better next time. And I'm sure we can find a way. We can talk about it and we will find a way to make this easier for you. I'm really sorry. I hope it worked anyway. For me, it was great. I hope you like what I've written, what we have written together a bit too. I know it's not perfect yet. I know it's not a lot yet. And I know I have not quite fulfilled your request to meet the other Magi, but I think you might see how we're getting there. And I'm quite confident that we will get there next time because we will be able to forego a bit, not all, a bit of the talk in advance because we are in another place now and we have started writing and we are starting to get in a kind of groove together. But there will be a bit of talking in advance because I never know if there will be people watching the video who have not watched the one before and who are new, and I would like to be considerate to them too. Thank you. If you liked this, of course, feel free to recommend it to anyone you think might like it too. Also, don't forget to push all the buttons on YouTube. There are lots of buttons on YouTube. There's a thumbs up. Thumbs up, that's helpful if you push the thumbs up button. You can also push the on German, in German it's called abonnieren, but it's different in English. What do you do in English? You subscribe, right? That's it. In English, you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to my channel, please. Like and subscribe is what they always say, right? Yeah, like and subscribe. And you can also push the little bell button. I do not recommend this, however, because the bell button makes really annoying announcements. So whenever I schedule a new video, you will get a push notification on your devices, and nobody wants that. Still, I hear it's very helpful to the channel. So if you feel the need to support me in a way that's really painful and a great sacrifice to yourself, you will have my eternal gratitude. Feel free to push the bell button in that case too. Yeah, you can of course share anything we do here. It's public in a way. You can share the YouTube video any way you like. You can I don't mind if you share parts of the text on social media or with other people in your life. And of course, we will make a new appointment for the next live stream. We will talk about that. I already proposed two appointment possibilities, like today in a week or today in 2 weeks, probably same time of the clock. I think that worked well. 10 o'clock MESZ, Middle European Summertime. Yeah, or is that standard? I'm not sure what it is in English. Well, MESZ or whatever. Subscribe, yeah, right. Um, and yeah, that's it. If you have any kind of feedback, maybe you didn't want to tell me during the session for fear of distracting me, or maybe you wanted to do it in private so that others don't read it. You want to tell me that this was disgusting and that you hated every second of it. Feel free to do so. I'm grateful for any kind of feedback in any way you like, and I look forward to doing this again. I hope it was nice for you too. Thank you and goodbye. Bye bye. This is the awkward, many awkward seconds where I'm already waving and saying goodbye while I'm looking for the right button to finish the stream. But I found it and now I will click it. Goodbye. See you and have a nice weekend. Bye. And now I have to confirm that I clicked the button. There you go. Bye.